welcome. So we're going to start off today with some slides, and then we're going to get on to making this beautiful pattern here, which is also a net for a dodecahedron, which is one of these platonic solids. And then we're going to finish by overlaying a golden mean spiral over the top of the net. All right, so welcome everyone. So just remember, please just keep muted, otherwise it's a bit of a cacophony, and keep the screens off so we can, so we don't overweigh the bandwidth for the chat. And then at the very end, we'll open up all the screens. It'd be great to see some of you, whoever wants to contribute, and we'll have a bit of a chat then. It's a bit of an extended session because we have a lot to cover. Might even go until 7, but it's up to you how long you want to stay with us. And we'll try and have breaks around the hour mark, depending on where we are in the pattern. So bear with me, I'm going to get these slides up. Okay, so it's a bit of a tradition now that we begin our slideshow with a little invocationary prayer by Keith Critchlow, who is our teacher and passed away a couple of weeks ago on the 8th of April. May we be guided by truth, may we have beauty revealed to us, and may it result in the goods. Okay, and Ramadan Kareem to all of those of you who are fasting today. So we are Art of Islamic Pattern. We've been around for 10 or 15 years, running classes all over the world. We're interested in geometric and arabesque biomorphic patterns and also how they're applied. So we've been working, studying and partnering with craftsmen all over the world, learning these techniques and putting them together into either tours or classes in our London studio. And then since this pandemic has hit, we have gone online. So this is, we're like now a month in, and hopefully just be running these each week, connecting you all and sharing patterns. So as it's become a little bit of a tradition, we've just been sharing pictures and images from previous classes. So last week we drew a Persian tenfold pattern. You find it all over Iran, from Esfahan to Yazd and Shiraz. And then on the Sunday, we had a fantastic kind of wacky watercolor pigment sharing session. And then, so there's been some really nice images of people painting those patterns and using different traditional recipes. So we have a nice one here on the right. This is by May, who's been painting with beetroot and turmeric. Check out her site. This is actually a piece finely painted with shell gold from, I think this is the second class we did, so 2 weeks back, the Ujjayi frontispiece. A couple more images from last week's tenfold pattern, really beautifully woven there by Gillian. And then a nice bit of gold outlay. So if you look on the piece on the right, you can see quite clearly the ring of 10 pentagons all interlocking. So our teacher, and I've heard this in a few places, used to call this pattern the zikr pattern. So zikr is like a ritual chanting that the Sufis do undertake. And if you look at the pentagons, they look like the arms are interlocked around a central circle. Okay, here's another couple examples. Beautiful piece by Susan De Buena, so that's coming out from California. I don't know if you're with us today, Susan. And then another nice pencil drawing of the Ujjayi frontispiece. It's really stunning. Here's a couple more pieces, really atmospheric painting there on the left. And then on the right, this is a piece, I'm not sure who it's by, but I would check out at Art Rank because the video for this is beautiful. So it's painted. This is actually from the very first class we did. It was a pattern from Yazd. And it's been painted so wonderfully with turquoise and blues. Well worth checking out on Instagram if you're on there. Okay, here we have a couple more beautiful pieces. a nice outline shell goals piece, and a really beautiful turquoisey atmospheric piece by Sacred Initiative Art. Awesome. Okay, a couple of other nice pieces. I'm loving the gold outlines. All right, nice to see the stars being picked out in the Swarmadan. Okay. Last week we did a lot of ruling pen work, but some people didn't have ruling pens, and one of the participants went away and worked out how to adapt tweezers to use as a ruling pen for outlines. So check out her site. How do you pronounce the name? Antara Motifs. Yeah, so check out Antara Motifs on Instagram. She's made a whole series of tutorials on how to use tweezers as a ruling pen for outlining. It's fantastic. Actually, they look even, I quite like the bend on those tweezers. I think you get more flow from the ink. So it's actually a bit of a revolution there. Nice work. Okay, this is this next piece is so what I've been doing is sending out the handouts mostly for the patterns in advance. You guys can have them, you know, maybe in the preview or print them out to help you along with the course. So this is, and then some people have just gone ahead and drawn the whole pattern and painted it already before the class, but that's cool. So this is tomorrow's class. It's a really nice one from Ristan Pasha. So if you're not already tuning into that, this is what we're going to be doing tomorrow. It uses these a series of 3 what we call Baba Nakash spirals, so everlasting spiral. It really translates as really nice pattern. And then on Thursday, so a bit of a change from our weekly schedule. I've added in a little fun piece, which is a study of the dome of the Lutfala. And this is a really fabulous class. It might end up going a little bit over 2 because there's a lot of involvement in this session. So I'm going to be drawing the Shamsas, but this pattern in particular is full of Abjad intrigue. So there's lots of sacred numerology in there. We're going to be talking about the biomorphs too in the centers. It's a very beautiful pattern, and there is also ways you can collapse this into 3 dimension too. So this is Thursday's class, and yeah, so you can just find that on the website if you want to join up. It's really amazing. It does involve very accurate geometry. So yeah, a little bit like the pattern we did last week where everything has to tangent. But when you get it, it's absolutely beautiful. This is a series of Shamsa patterns all moving towards the center. So it's, this is the Lutfala is a mosque built in Esfahan purely for women. So this is really the abjad value of this is merciful, but this is really a replica of the kind of the womb, the essence of the womb. And then on next Sunday, we're going to be looking at arches. So I'm going to hopefully draw 2 different arches, but we're going to have a whole study of the history of arches, mostly focused on the horseshoe arch and the multifoil arch. So this is going to be a fun class. We'll draw that horseshoe arch you see there. We might draw a multifoil arch too. We'll see how we get on. It's a really fun class. So mostly looking at arches from Al-Andalus, from southern Spain, from Cordoba and the Alcazar and Sevilla. So tune in next Sunday for that. Okay, so within Islamic art, as you've been finding in the previous sessions, there are underlining grids with the geometry and the biomorphs. So simply put, there are 3 shapes, regular tilings that tessellate together and create an underlining grid. So in the first session we did, when we looked at patterns from Kerman and Yazd, we were looking at a triangular isometric grid. So we worked in one half of an equilateral triangle, and then we repeated that shape, and then we tessellated it across the page. Okay, so as in nature, using these tessellations, you see them in the biomorphic, in the geometric and biomorphic patterns. So when you get this slide in a moment, you'll see this is a pattern, a Zilij pattern from the Atrin Madrasa. So it's a famous early 13th century madrasa, precursor to the Alhambra. And you can see very clearly they've outlined in black the hexagonal repeat unit. So this could be taken down to an even smaller repeat. So you could just draw a triangle, an equilateral triangle, because obviously the hexagon's made up of 6 triangles. But in essence, the repeat unit for this motif is a hexagon. Okay, so jumping on a fairway, what we're going to be looking at today is we're going to be looking at the golden proportion. We're going to be looking at fractal geometry and subdividing geometry. So this is an example of self-similarity within a Islamic geometric pattern and how they relate. So this is an example from Dowd Sutton's book, and this is a pattern from the Alcazar in Sevilla. And you can see, if you look closely, you have an 8-petaled rosette in the very center. And then if you scan out from there, you'll see in black that same 8-petaled rosette repeated. So this is you having fractal patterns repeating within themselves. And we'll use this term a little bit more as we go on. But fractal patterns were, the term was coined by Benoit B. Mandelbrot. And it's quite a funny joke. So you can just have a think what the B stands for in Benoit B. Mandelbrot.
Mandelbrot, I don't know.
So the B in Benoit B. Mandelbrot stands for Benoit B. Mandelbrot. Have a think about it. Okay, so now I'm going to show you like a little animation. Ooh, this might be a bit loud. So this is what I call a geomation, and I made this maybe 15 years ago. So it's a little bit shaky. Sorry if it's too noisy on your screen. Now I'm just going to skip forward a little bit. This is the drawing of that pattern you just saw. So this is not a 5-fold pattern, but I just want you to get a sense of how these. Oh, I skipped too far. Sorry, guys. Let's watch that again. Using QuickTime inside. Here we go. Fantastic. Okay, we're back on. So don't worry, we won't be going this fast when we're drawing the pattern today. But this is a 4-fold pattern, so it's a little bit of a move away from the 5-fold class today. But I want you just to see how these patterns are self-similar. With a 4-fold pattern, everything's really based on that khatam, which you see in red, and that khatam, the 8-pointed star, is then repeated in varying scales. So you could basically draw a pattern like this, or even fold a pattern by just drawing a series of 8-pointed stars at different scales, both for the complete pattern and the underlining grid. So as this pattern gets woven, so we'll do a woven pattern in a couple of weeks, I think, but basically I've placed a pump compass on each of the intersections. So pump compass is a very small compass that allows you to draw small lines and then increase the width. Once the width is increased, the trammel lines can then weave and interlace to create a woven pattern. And in a moment when the color goes in, we'll start to see the more fractal, self-similar aspects of this pattern. Okay, so we can just watch a bit of paint dry. So again, this is the pattern you just saw in the previous slide, and it's from the Alcazar in Sevilla. And if you don't have a great version of this on your screen, we can send you a link to a YouTube version of this later. So now you can see the weave interlocking the pattern together. And in a moment, when the pattern starts to zoom out, you'll see the fractal elements appear. So in the center, we have this orange 8-pointed star. So you see the 8 petals. As this moves out, can you see 8 blue petals? So it's the same pattern repeating within itself. So as it's zooming out, you'll see the same thing repeating within itself over and over again. It might be a bit slowed.
It's taking a bit of time because of the lag, but maybe this is a good point to let people know that they should be turning their videos off, because I don't think some people are following the chat where we're trying to encourage videos to be turned off.
Okay. Well, it might have been a bit tricky to see that film in real time, but we'll send you a link to it in a moment. You can watch it at your leisure. It's really just to show the connections between these fractal elements we're going to work at today and Islamic art, how it's used there, especially with Persian patterns, but we did talk about this a little bit last week on the tenfold. Okay, so let's start off by talking a little bit about, interesting. We have a new order. So we're going to talk a little bit about the golden proportion and the Fibonacci sequence and how they relate.
So as you saw on the previous slide, we had the sort of distribution of a daisy or a sunflower, and you can see that it forms these patterns which you'll also find on the pine cone and the pineapple. If you were to count them, you'd find that they'd have these alternating spirals, often rotating in a spiral of 8 or 5 or 13. Here you can see that on the pine cone, that if you follow the line of a spiral from the center of the base of the pine cone, you can often count 8 units, and in the opposite direction, 13. And these fit into our Fibonacci sequence.
Yeah, so the Fibonacci sequence is basically just add to the previous number. So you have 0, 1 is 1, 1 and 1 is 2, 2 and 1 is 3, and so on into infinitum. And then as Layla was saying, you can find these numbers in the number of spirals. When you're looking at pine cones and the spirals around sprouts and all kinds of interesting plants. You can also find it in the way branches bifurcate on a tree. So you can see here the number of branches. We're going to skip through a lot of slides because this is everywhere in our body and nature, in the way things grow and move. And the logarithmic spiral that we're going to look at today, it grows in the Fibonacci sequence. So one way of looking at these spirals is to count the number, the edge length of the squares as they emerge. So the squares as they move into a golden proportion rectangle, and you'll move up in that number of the Fibonacci sequence too. So the golden proportion or the hidden number is 1.618. So 1 to 1.618 is the golden cut. And the relationship between the golden number and the Fibonacci sequence is an approximation. So if we have 1 over 2, the closest, which is the closest one? It's 3421. It's 5534, which is the DNA.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so basically approximations of the division of the Fibonacci sequence will give you the golden proportion.
And here you see how it can't really be any other way, because the reason why plants choose this structure is because it's the most efficient way to space out lobes or seeds or anything that you need to fill a continuous space. So if you see in these 4 images, if you were taking a rotation of 0.33, then you would just have these 3 divisions that build up upon one another and leave all this sort of empty black space in between. If you chose a division of 0.2, it would divide into 5. 0.97 creates this interesting spiral that we see in the corner, but it still isn't the most efficient use of space. So actually we find that only way that we can achieve the most efficient use of space over a plane is by the 0.618 division. And there you see that the lobes are perfectly spaced out.
So this is to maximize, for example, sunlight, so that each petal will get the maximum sunlight when distributed.
And in the previous workshop, we showed the cross-section of DNA, but actually the helix of the DNA also shows this relationship to Fibonacci, because the DNA is measured in a unit called angstrom. And actually we find that the height of one turn of the helix is 34 angstrom by 21 in width. And again, this is your 2 Fibonacci numbers, which when divided give you your approximation of the proportion. Again, just some visuals showing that degree of rotation in one helix of DNA, and then the 5-fold pattern that you see when you do the cross-section of DNA. And again, more examples. And here it's actually been visualized as these dodecahedra, which are piling on top of one another. And that will be relevant to when we're coming to do our exercise. And here we have this famous image of Plato, philosopher who theorized about the golden ratio. And there's also a quote by Keith Critchlow, who wrote a book on the golden meaning. And the quote from him is, "Relatedness or relationship, the key to understanding what the golden mean and golden meaning is all about." Can't quite see in the corner there, actually. To strike a golden mean relationship is obviously to get much closer to the truth, which in turn can indicate the unity of the whole.
So this is a famous painting by Raphael, and you see you've got Plato on the right, so he's pointing to the sort of archetypal values, and then Aristotle, his student, on his left, with his hand facing down. Obviously, he's talking more about the relative. And okay, so we're going to talk a little bit about the Platonic solids. We're going to touch on them towards the end of the session. So we're going to look at the dodecahedron, but there are 5 Platonic solids. So these are 5 shapes which have regular face, that is a polygon, and then all the tips touch the inside of a sphere, and all the edge lengths are the same. There are only 5 of these, and they're named after Plato because he was the first one to speak about them. But they go back way before Plato. These are some examples, again, found by our teacher Keith Critchlow in the Ashmolean Museum. He's done some little analysis of them with tape there.
So that's 4,000 years old.
Yeah. Exactly. So we're moving quite fast, but basically we touched a little bit on the regular tilings. So we have 3 of those in the top left-hand corner: triangle, square, hexagon. We have 5 Platonic solids. So you have the tetrahedron, octahedron, cube, icosahedron, and the dodecahedron. Hedron just means faces, and the first part relates to the number. So for example, octahedron would be 8 faces. And then we have 8 semi-regular tilings, and then we have 13 Archimedean solids.
So that's between, when you're moving between 2 dimensions and 3 dimensions, you're actually alternating between the numbers on the Fibonacci sequence. So from 3 to 5 to 8 to 13, but actually between dimensions. So there's some sort of continuity between the dimensions.
Yeah, so this is like a fascinating,
mind-blowing
diagram.
Yeah.
It's everywhere. The more you look, the more crazy you get. Okay, so many artists were interested in initial studies of the Platonic solids. There's a nice drawing by Leonardo da Vinci of the dodecahedron. So this is what we're going to make today. Johann Kepler, another important figure he was the one who assigned the elements to these Platonic solids. Did you want to say anything more about this?
I didn't have much to say, except there's that quote there, which he also was a great admirer of the golden ratio and named it a precious jewel rather than something golden.
Okay. Okay, so this next slide is, I don't know if these are drawings by Kepler, but these just show his assignment of the elements. So we have octahedron as air, cube as earth, tetrahedron as fire, the dodecahedron as the universe, and the icosahedron as water. Now, both myself and Layla traveled all over. Layla's worked in China. I've been working with First Nations people in Canada and America, and also working in Malaysia and places like that. And what you find is that elements of these ideas, whether it's by a sort of morphic resonance, appear in all these different cultures and their traditions, often like assigning the cube or the square to earth and the circle to heaven. But also there are scientists who believe that the universe is made up of the dodecahedron.
Yeah, there was actually in 2003 on the front cover of Nature, there was this hypothesis that the universe was dodecahedral. based on cosmic background radiation. And when they measured the shape of the cosmic background radiation, the feedback was that this was in fact a dodecahedron, affirming 2,500-year-old ideas, which was incredible.
And there's also relationships to the tetrahedron and the fire and the pyramids. It's a large subject. Okay, so this is a good slide for you here.
This isn't my slide, but what is it showing? I guess you can see the icosahedron in the corner, and the relationship between the icosahedron and the dodecahedron is interesting to point out.
Oh yeah, this is a jewel character. Okay, great. We're going to talk about jewels now. Leaving the tetrahedron apart, which has a more self-similar effect in the jewel, the other two platonic solids are jeweled together. So you have the octahedron and the cube. And if you place a point in the center of each face, they'll diminish and self-replicate. And it's the same with the dodecahedron and the icosahedron. So this is a study by one of our colleagues, John Martineau, who's also the publisher of the Little Wooden Books, which they're well worth checking out. Yeah, so this is a book that we'd recommend. It's called The Golden Section. And so these Little Wooden Books are published by John Martineau, and this is one of his studies. So this shows the movement of Earth and Venus around the sun over 8 years, and it creates this beautiful pentagonal pattern. So this is what he coins the dance of Venus. And again, we've got 8 and 5, which are Fibonacci numbers. And we find all these interesting relationships. This particular wooden book's called the Book of Coincidence, and it shows all these amazing connections between the movements and the volume of the planets and Earth and the stars, and how they're full of golden proportion. Okay, the diagram on the left, the bottom left, you can see the pentagram, and you can see how it's completely full of the golden proportion. So all of those lengths relate to each other with the golden proportion, and that's something that we're going to draw in a moment, and I'll explain it in the drawing a bit further. But the golden proportion is turning up everywhere in our bodies, in plants, and animals, and fish, and
shells,
as well as the movements of the galaxies. Okay, wait for the slide to catch up a bit. Just in case it's a bit of a lag for you.
Yeah, there's a lag.
You don't want to miss this beautiful stingray. Okay, you also see it in art. You see it in the division of art. In the Renaissance, these divisions would be purposefully placed in there, so the horizon would land on the golden proportion division of the rectangle. But then later, Impressionist painters also used it, but whether they were using it on purpose or just intuiting it, were all drawn to these perfect proportions. That's why in marketing, people will use them in for cigarette boxes, credit cards, cassette tapes, often using this golden proportion as a way to allure. It's almost like the dark forces for consumerism. It's also found in sacred geometry and architecture. So here are some examples from the Pantheon. I mean, each of these slides we could talk about for an hour or two, but we're just going to give you a bit of a sense of how prevalent this particular proportion is. So you can see it in the growth of the human on the bottom right, and we'll find it throughout our bodies. So all we need to do is just count the junctions on our hand. I don't know if we have a slide of that later, but if you can curl your hand up into a golden proportion, so we'll have sections of your hand, and I'll measure them when we get the overhead camera going, all relating to the Fibonacci and the golden proportion. Also, our teeth, the sizes of our teeth are all approximations. And it said, the closer to the golden proportion you are, the more archetypally beautiful you are. Everyone's beautiful. Okay, so talk a little bit about how these platonic solids grow into geodesic domes. So this is just a simple way of looking at it. This is an icosahedron. And if you just subdivide the faces of the icosahedron more and more, you're just going to get a smoother and smoother curvature. And that is the basic logic behind these domes that you see here. So you have a 2, 3, and 4 V dome. So the more strut lengths that are added to the dome, the smoother the curvature. This is something that was developed by Buckminster Fuller, who was also the teacher and of Keith Critchlow, who's our teacher. So we're part of that lineage. I'm going to skip through some of these. This is just a nice example of the golden proportion used in contemporary art. Oh, hey, Delphine. Nice to see you there. Hello. So everyone, if you're just joining, yeah, remember to mute yourself. Okay, I'm going to skip through some of these slides because I really want to start drawing. Except that I might show you this guy, Ernst Haeckel. It's worth getting his book. It's published by Dover, and he was an interesting biologist and draftsman. He was looking at diatoms and radiolarium, and that's when you often see all the foam on the water when it's crashing in. This is not toxic waste. This is actually diatoms, which have little pockets of oil that help them float, breaking against the rocks, which create this this foam. Now the diatoms are tiny; they're like often known as plankton. But when you look at them under a microscope, they have crazy symmetries. Some look more like aliens, and others have perfect polyhedra patterns which are built into them. So if you ever get a chance, I'd check out Ernst Haeckel studies of radiolarium. And then actually, as a side note, there are people who, under a microscope with a very fine needle, move around the radiolarium into crazy patterns. So these art pieces can only be seen under a microscope. Okay, I might just finish showing you some nice slides of a 3D dome coming together in Canada. So this is actually a project that I worked on about 3 years ago on a little island off Vancouver Island with the First Nations group. You can see one of their totem poles on the left side, but we built one of these fantastic 3V domes. So that means it has 3 strut lengths. In fact, we used a 4th one just to get it just right. And we made it all out of wood that we found in a disused, in a redundant timber yard. And then we used PVC piping and metal strapping to put it together into this dome. So this is just showing you a practical manifestation of what we're talking about. And this is just on an island off Vancouver Island. Okay. All right. Okay, well, that's enough talking. Now it's over to you guys to start drawing. So we're going to just get set up here. If you've just joined, please make sure you're muted. If you have any questions, you can ask Layla in the chat box. And now you need to get out your A3 paper, and I'm going to switch my sharing to the overhead camera. Okay. So what you guys need is a compass, pencil, eraser, some colored pencils, Pritt stick, and a ruler. So you need to get all of these elements together. Whilst you're getting that together, I can show you quickly. This is a pair of golden proportion calipers. So they open up exponentially. And this would be 1 to 1.618. But we should be able to see how it relates to the human hand, for example. So let's see how golden my fingers are. So that's that one. Then you flip them over and go the other way. That's the next part. particularly gruff stone carving hands. So see, so that'll be that joint. And then if I had really big ones, I could look at the measurement between the furthest finger, my wrist, and my elbow, and then my shoulder, my elbow, full of golden proportion.
Are you recording right now?
I am recording, yes.
Okay, great. Double check.
Yeah. Okay, so let's clear the decks. Started. So I'm going to be drawing my drawing in pen, just so you can see it clearly, but you ought to be working in pencil in case you make any mistakes. And those of you who did last week's session will be at an advantage, because this is going to be, again, a 10-fold division of the circumference. All right, so the first thing we're going to do is draw a vertical line, but it's going to be, what am I going to work? Let me just measure up here. Okay, it's going to be 12 centimeters from the left-hand side. Okay.
Are people using a thick paper at this stage?
Yes, good point, Layla. So people need to be using a thick paper if you have that option. If you have an option to use, if you have like a thick hot pressed watercolor paper or anything of that around near your desk, I would go grab that, because it would make a better model. Okay, let's see if I can get some annotating going. This is my favorite part. All right. We're going, just to be sure, because this has to fit on the page. So going 12 centimeters.
If someone only has A4,
Then
they're probably better off trying to do it in 2 pieces, aren't they? But
yeah, if you have A4, maybe you can try and stick them together. So just work as we're working with 2 A4 sheets. 12 centimeters, which is another ruler. Want to record it. Okay. It's 5 inches, say 5 inches. 5 inches if you're in the States. All right, so I'm going to measure that myself. So 12 from the left side of your page, 12 centimeters or 4 3/4 inches, 5 inches, something around that will do fine. Let's just get you a better view. Sorry guys, bear with me. It has to be symmetrical. Okay. Great. All right, then now we're going to measure 11 centimeters down from the top. So 11 centimeters down from the top. All right, and then we're going to open our compass up to 10 centimeters. So the radius for the circle we're going to draw is going to be 10 centimeters. So 10 centimeter radius, please, on your compasses. Which is 4 3/4 inches. Centimeter radius. Good.
Mm-hmm.
All right, then we're going to place our compass on that point and draw our first circle. Okay, so hopefully you haven't changed your radius. It's important you don't change your radius. Now we're going to place the compass on these 2 points and make a division of 6 on our circle. Okay, so make sure you're as accurate as possible, placing the compass here and making a little mark on the circle. All right, so I'm going to leave that for a second so we don't, in case we have a lag. So I've made these 2 marks. I'm going to do the same at the top, placing the compass where the vertical line crosses the circle and making dash on my circumference. Oh yes, next time. Learning this annotation tool, that is a better circle.
Oh, great. Yeah. So the first circle was 10 centimeters.
Yeah. Okay, so it's always going to be 10 centimeters. We haven't changed the radius yet. So make sure you've got that division in. There's not a second.
There isn't a second measurement.
Yeah.
You've just taken that radius and used it to divide the circle into 6.
Yeah, same radius. Okay, I hope you all have that. What we're going to do now is get a bisection of the green points because we need a horizontal line through the center of our circle. So this radius could be any measurement, so long as it's larger than the gap between the 2 points, between the 2 green points. But in this case, on our left side, we have an issue, you know, the circle's quite close to the edge of the paper. So I'm going to give you a measurement. Okay, so this measurement, I'd recommend about 6.5 centimeters. Let's see if that works. Oh, that's still too big. Hang on. Let's find one that fits. So 5.5. Okay, 5.5 centimeters. So we're bisecting these points. This is an operation that you're going to do over and over in geometry. All right, so 5.5 centimeters. We're only giving you this measurement because we don't want the division to go out of the page. All right. So I'll put a little annotation on there while you catch up. That's what I've just done. And we'll do the same on the right side too, making sure that you get the compass point right in that gap. Okay, and just in case you're not understanding what we're doing here, I can just open my compass up to anything. So I might just do it with a pencil. Yeah, okay. So I can open it up much larger and make a dash up here and then scoot around the other side and make a cross.
So what you're doing is not about measurement, it's just simply about repeating the same proportion on both sides to find the midway point.
Exactly. So I can do that again. Another measurement. This is all going to give me that bisection.
Okay. So it's the same line. It doesn't matter what size it is, but you want to keep it within the sheet of paper. So that's why you're guiding it to be a certain size. Okay.
Exactly. Exactly. All right. Then we can draw in the horizontal diameter. And as you can see, that would line up with those other pencil bisections I made. You haven't missed much, Noor. We're just starting the drawing. You missed all the secrets, but we've only just started the drawing. Okay, now we are going to draw a line between the green points. In fact, actually, we're just going to make a little mark. Let's not draw the full line. So we're going to line our ruler up between the green marks and make a little dash on the vertical line. So I'm lining my ruler up between the two green marks. You don't need to draw the whole line, you just need to make a mark on the vertical. Basically dividing up that vertical diameter into 4. Okay. Once you have that division, we're going to place the compass point on one of those marks and adjust it until you meet the horizontal line.
It's important to get the stage really accurate, isn't it? Because this will have a knock-on effect on the five-fold geometry that you derive from it.
exactly. All right, so this is the radius. It's 1/4 of the diameter. And before I draw the circle in, I'm just going to check that it's going to tangent the inside of my circle as well as the vertical line. So I'm just going to check that I have that tangent before I draw it in. Okay, when I'm happy, I'm going to commit to it. Then I'm going to do the same at the bottom. Remember to check. So you might have some little inaccuracies that are creeping in. And you just might need to adjust your compass really subtly.
So someone's asked what measurement this is. Now this isn't a measurement, you're just actually drawing on the information on your own diagram. So you're just taking this proportion here, and that is your measurement.
Yeah, so the radius is 1/4 of the diameter, but it's marked in blue on the annotation, and I'm leaving my compass there for you to find. So we're only using measurements at the beginning to make sure that our drawing fits on the page. That's the only reason we're using the measurements on the ruler. Otherwise, we could just be using a blank bit of wood as our straight edge. Okay, now we're coming up to the very important measurement, which is going to be 1/10 of the circumference. And in fact, just to make sure it's extra golden, we're going to put in another line here. So we're going to use our ruler. We're going to measure between these points. We're going to line up our ruler rather between these 2 points and make a little mark on the circle we've just drawn. And this is just going to help us, because this is going to be where our tangent occurs. All right, so where I put that little golden circle, this is where the tangent's going to occur. So then we can open up our compass to that point. This is the exact same procedure we did last week. So moving from a 6-fold and then ending up with a 10-fold division of the circle. Okay, so this is our radius. I'm going to leave the compass here just so you can see it. And we're going to draw that curve in. So radius is between these points. Okay, so we're going to do the same on the left side. You don't need to change your radius. Okay, so this is how we're finding the radius. It's tangenting those initial circles. Okay, and now I'm going to put a red circle around the divisions. So I'd like you just to also, with a red pencil or any kind of color that you have, put a little dot on the 6 points that I've indicated on the screen. So those, between those points is a measurement of the 1/10 of the circumference. Okay, so just put a mark on there because they're often mistaken for the other marks which neighbor them. So make sure that you're marking out the correct point. So this is a common mistake, one which I made last week as well. So this one in blue is wrong.
Yeah.
Okay, so just make sure that you have the right point marked. Otherwise, it's downhill for your drawing from this point onwards.
Yeah, it's a good idea to erase them.
You could erase the blue marks if you like, yeah, or just as long as you have a colored mark on the red points, you're going to be all right. Okay, so now without changing your radius, we're going to place the compass point on those red points and make a little mark on our circle. So I'm going to go from that side, and I'm going to switch it around to the other side. And then we're going to mark those two as we go. Then I'm going to flip to the other side, so placing it on the red dots from the left side, and then make a little mark on the circumference.
What's the radius now? Well, it should be the same.
Yeah, the radius is the same. Okay, so the radius is indicated in orange. So I'm going to go back there for Mona. The radius is indicated in orange, and that's 1/10 of the circumference. And then all we're doing is stepping the compass around the circumference. Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Too fast? No. All right. And then finally, you can just check by placing your compass on one of those marks, just check that it lines up. So mine fortunately lines up. I'm just going to hold my compass there so you can check at the bottom and the top if it lines up. So you have an even division of 10 around the circumference. Okay. So you can move your compass around and it should give you 10 even divisions, the radius that we have here. And the radius again is the orange mark indicated. The radius, as I just mentioned, the orange is indicated in orange. All right, so you place your compass on the horizontal line and adjust the compass until it tangents those two small circles.
What if it doesn't line up? Well, it depends how much it doesn't line up by.
Yeah. I mean, this drawing is not as important. All drawings are important, but this one is not as important as last week. If you're only out a millimeter or so, then you're okay. If you're out a bit more than that, then you just want to go around and make slight adjustments. You only need to make micro adjustments, like reduce the compass a touch from both sides, and that will give you a bigger gap if it's not big enough already.
And if you're out by something like a centimeter, then you might want to pay attention to whether you went from the wrong point at some stage in your drawing.
If you're out by a centimeter, then you might have gone for that blue point, not the red one, because that's a centimeter different. So that might have been what you've done wrong. Yeah, this is a 10-fold. This is actually a 5-fold pattern, but it's a 10-fold division at this stage. Okay, we'll give you a moment just to draw those in. How many? Wow, we have 288 people. Thanks for joining, everyone. Okay, so now we're going to put in the pentagon. Again, make sure when you're drawing this in, that you draw it in from the dots that you've indicated with a red pencil or another colored pencil. I'll just annotate this for you. Catching up. Okay, so each time we're going to be skipping a point because we're just going to draw a pentagon. So we only need 5 of these marks. So I'd like you now just to draw in this pentagon. And you can draw this boldly because this is the final design. So you can draw this with a colored pencil if you like, or a softer pencil. I'm drawing mine in a black pen. I usually tell students to avoid pens until they're really confident they've got the right points, because there's no way back with a pen. The color pencil, go for a color pencil if you like. It's about getting in the screen. Okay, so you should all have a pentagon. Oh, I see. Oh, my drawing is getting key.
What's underneath those virtual arrows then?
Is that lines? Yeah. So I've just drawn a line in underneath those green lines. I'd just like you to draw a line. Okay, I hope you all have that pentagon because we're going to move on now. All right, I'm going to clear the drawings. Now, we're going to draw in a pentagram. So we're going to use those points, the vertices of the pentagon to draw in a pentagram. Now we're getting golden. Again, you can be drawing this in with a colored pencil or a really bold, soft pencil.
If your pentagon is facing the opposite direction, will that be a problem?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, the pentagon has to face to the right.
So where are the arrows going?
We're just drawing the lines in that I've indicated in red. So they're going to the vertices of the pentagon.
So from one corner to the other, but skipping one. So 1, skip 1, 2, and then lining up.
What's the ink?
I just smudged it.
Okay, and where are those calipers? All right, so now we should start seeing some serious golden divisions. All right, so this would be the first one. So there you can see 1 to 1.618. This is one measurement. I'll leave that there for the lag to catch up. Yeah, these are golden mean calipers. Okay, so let's have a look at another one. So I can now open it up to this one. So the pentagon and pentagram is 4 of the golden proportion.
Is it just for measurements? I've actually seen them used in beauty salons these days. You can use them for eyebrows, for measuring where you should pluck the arch in an eyebrow. So you can find very sort of small specialized calipers for cosmetics. Do the pentagram lines go through to center circles on the vertical line or just to the side?
Not sure of that question. Okay, now, so you should have pentagram. Now we're going to focus in on the internal pentagon in the center of the pentagram. And we're going to draw another pentagram inside this small little pentagon. But each time we draw it, we're going to extend the lines to the edge of the big pentagon. So let me demonstrate. So I'm using, put a little mark around, 5 points. So I have the 5 vertices of my pentagon. So this is what I'm using to line up my line, and then I'm going to draw right through them to the edge of the pentagon, the big one. So I'm going to indicate the line I've just drawn, gone right through those marks. And I'll do that all throughout. So in essence, what we're doing is drawing.
Still using the soft pencil?
Yeah. From now on, we're going to just be using a soft pencil, color pencil. One more. So I'm going to draw them in green so you can see them distinct. You can distinguish them from the previous lines. Okay.
Okay, so you've made a star in the central pentagon.
Exactly. Yeah, I should color in that central pentagon.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're just looking at this central pentagon in here. That should be helping us out. Central pentagon.
Could you repeat that process?
Well, it's drawn in there for you, but basically, I'll explain it again. I'm lining up inside the large pentagram that we've just drawn, you'll see a little pentagon. And then on the points of the pentagon, which I've indicated in red, I'm going to line my ruler up to draw a small pentagram. And that pentagram is going to get extended to the edge of the large pentagon. Okay, so I'll leave my ruler lined up with one of those lines. Basically, as you can see, I'm lining up with the red vertices of the pentagon.
And so you just run that line straight through from edge to edge. It runs parallel to one side of the pentagon.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly, Gia. Nice to see you, Gia. Thanks for joining. So check out Gia's Instagram page. Fantastic artist. All right. Now, you might notice that by drawing those lines, we've created these 5 pentagons around the outside. So I'll just color one of those in so you can see what I mean. You should see another pentagon out here. And what we're going to do now is draw a pentagram in all of these pentagons that I'm just coloring in orange.
So for each of those, you should already have 2 lines inside.
Yeah. Already, exactly. You already have 2 of the lines of the pentagon drawn in. Pentagram. I don't know. Let's try that again.
They wouldn't need to color their pentagon at this stage. You're just highlighting just to distinguish.
Yeah, no coloring yet. We will do some coloring in a minute though. Okay, so I'm going to start drawing those in. So I can draw those in a different color just so you can see what we're doing. Basically, we need to do this, all of the outer ones, so that we get
just to finish it off, 3 more lines.
3 more lines in each. And in fact, if we do this together, I'm going to show you. Let's just draw the outer ones first. Because for the inner ones, you can do 2 at once. It's a little bit more accurate to do that way. So we're going to draw these ones in first, and I'm just indicating in red. For the second ones, you can do 2 at once. Yeah, for the next ones, you can draw just 2 at once like that. Is that too light?
It's a bit hard to see.
Okay, draw that in a different color. All right, so the next ones will be these blue lines, but as you see, you can draw 2 at once. So what we should have now is 6 pentagons, so 5 around the central one, and each pentagon should have a pentagram inside it. And we'll spend a bit of time now just coloring in those pentagrams. So let's go. Stick with this colourful drawings.
We leave the internal pentagon plain.
Yeah. How's everyone doing?
People
Yes.
are quiet, so I think
yes. If you okay.
Following.
Great. 288 people. Amazing. Thanks for joining us, guys. Really humbled to be here.
Are we colouring? Yes, we are.
We are colouring now. Yeah, we have arrived. So the colouring is going to help us also indicate the net and the next stages. So we're not just beautifying, also isolating these shapes. Tummy rumbles.
Yeah. Will this colouring show in the final dodecahedron?
Yes, this colouring is for the final dodecahedron too.
What can you use to colour?
Well, I would
Pen
just
or pencil would be best. You
pen
don't want any paint at this point because it could make it warp, and you need to cut it out and have it be quite stable.
Yeah, and there might not be time for painting too, unless you're Geo or someone like that. You can do it super fast. Okay. Also, once you've cut out the net, you don't necessarily have to stick it together in real time with us. You could go back and decorate the net a bit further before you complete it, if you like. But at the moment, it's just nice if we can pick out at least these golden triangles. It's going to help with our spiral.
When will we take a small break? Is now a good time? So some people can
Yeah,
colour or...
yeah, exactly. You can take a break, perfect, if you like, or you can carry on colouring, but we're not going to give any instructions for another 5-10 minutes until we've finished colouring in. So you've got 10 minutes to go and do whatever you need to do. Or just continue colouring in with us. You can also ask Layla any questions you like, more general questions, golden questions. Yeah, sorry we have to meet you guys, but we can talk at the very end of the session. Just gets a bit too crazy if everyone's unmuted. I should have had one pre-colored.
Books.
Yes, we can put a few books out for you.
So golden ratio books. Colouring pencils would be good. Or pro marker, if you've got it.
Oh, this one's a good one.
This one's more philosophical. And this one's Also good. What markers are you using? Winsor & Newton Pro marker.
Yeah. If you use them on watercolor paper, they just blend together really nicely, these markers. Use them on anything lighter than 90 GSM, they'll just bleed everywhere.
So the Thursday session, if people can't make that, they can watch that later on Dropbox.
Yeah, if you just, the whole kind of donation process as well is so that we can log all of your emails. I have my lovely assistant Ali, who's my brother. He's been diligently logging all of your emails, and it just means that we can send you the Dropbox links. So yeah, if you just join up as you would do and just don't turn up on the day if you can't, but then you'll get the Dropbox link eventually. So I have actually been, if you've been doing previous sessions, i.e. the tenfold geometry, I have been adding extra stuff to those folders. So you're welcome to go back and have a look as I come across interesting things. They're still active. Been putting some of the students' works in and some nice pages, examples, diagrams.
Is it possible to get the previous tutorials?
Yeah, sure.
And where did you buy your golden calipers from?
Well, they're not mine. They're Daniel's, and I'm not sure where he's brought them from, sorry.
I think you can get them on Amazon. I've seen them on Amazon. It depends. There's different scales. Obviously, there's the one I mentioned, which is the eyebrow tool, and then there's ones which are used for carpentry, bigger and made out of wood.
Yeah, in fact, I used to have a workshop that I ran with kids where we'd make the golden proportion calipers. You can make them by just lining up your, drawing a large version of what we've just drawn and using the pentagram in the center. So I'll draw it on here actually. So if you imagine, like that's a leg, and that's a leg of your golden caliper, and then you make the other parts like this. How do I do it? Yes, like this. So that is how you make a golden proportion caliper. I'll just dot the intersections. Okay, so you can draw a large version of what we've just drawn. Then how I did it was I drew it on tracing paper, and then I put some strips of cardboard underneath the tracing paper in this orientation. So 4 strips at those different lengths. And then I poked holes through and I used butterfly pins. So you can make the whole thing just out of cardboard, and you can make big ones. And we used to measure each other. It's quite fun, especially with kids, because they're all kind of sizes. So you can get a really big kid and then a little kid and measure them, and they're both golden. them, they can't believe it.
So when you find that you've got inaccuracies, Aisha is noticing that there was a micro gap in the two inner circles. Yes, that could have led to a knock-on effect where the pentagram is then slightly off, but this particular pattern is quite forgiving, and the structure that you're going to be making is going to have a bit of give to it, so it shouldn't affect you this time. Just for the next example that you do, maybe you want to pay more attention to getting the first couple of circles bang on, but it should be okay for this diagram.
Yeah, so it takes a while for us to upload the videos because they're so large. They're like three or 4 hours long. So they hopefully should be in there definitely by tomorrow afternoon in the Dropbox link that I've sent you for today. So you can always just have another go. So if you weren't aware, what I've drawn in the center is a diagram of how you would build your own golden proportion calipers. So using the diagram you already have.
Is there a Dropbox link available for me to post? Where would I get that from?
Oh, I haven't made it. I mean, maybe I can open up the Dropbox link so you guys can post your pictures in there too. I'll work on that.
Okay.
I've left the Dropbox links. Yeah, they're all still there. So I haven't taken any of the Dropboxes down from the last month.
What's low battery there?
Oh, my computer. Nearly lost you guys. Okay. Where are we at? 4:30. Okay, we're doing good. So if you can hear me across the room, in the kitchen or wherever you are, we're going to start again in a couple of minutes. So 2 minutes time, we're going to do the next stage.
Stretch your legs.
Yeah, I'm just going to stretch my legs. Okay, here we go. Next stage. So what we're going to do now is draw a repeat of what we've just drawn, but the second one is much easier because we already have all the divisions worked out. First thing you need to do is draw a horizontal line. And do we have that large? Yeah. Okay, so we're going to line our ruler up horizontally with the following points. Okay, now what I'm going to do is just to make sure that I'm parallel with the first horizontal, I'm going to line my ruler up and draw along the base. So basically we're going to draw a line between these points. Let's do that in red.
Hard pencil?
Yeah, this could be with a hard pencil. Good call.
If you're using a smaller sheet, then at this point you would just start on a new sheet, wouldn't you?
I mean, hopefully you could stick the two sheets together.
Or stick them together, yeah.
So these are the 3 points that we're lining up. But as you notice at the top of my ruler, I'm parallel with the first horizontal we made. So it's nice if you draw it along the bottom side of the ruler so that you can just make sure that your orientation of the ruler is parallel. Just an extra aid. It's quite important this is nice and parallel, so take your time doing this drawing.
So this is the same sheet of paper, you just left space to continue drawing.
Okay, so I've just drawn. So this is the line that I'm drawing. So I'm using my ruler just to make sure that I'm parallel to that first horizontal. Okay, just going to help me with that. Even though we have 3 dots to line up with, sometimes it can wander a little bit depending on the accuracy of your drawing. So these little interventions can help. Just use it as a trammel. Okay. Now we go back to our compass. And I'd like you to measure the initial circle. So we're going to go back to our initial circle, which is 10 centimeters, but I don't want you to measure from the ruler. It's best to measure from the first circle we drew. So I'm indicating it on the screen now. So we're going back. That initial radius. Indicate it for you in case you had your head in your drawing. Okay, so the radius is our initial radius, this one right here. Then we're going to place the compass on this point right here and make a mark on our horizontal line. Okay, so this is the point we're lining our compass up with, and then we're making a mark on the horizontal line right here with that initial 10 centimeter radius. Okay, remember the measurements are only to enable us to fit in the page, those initial measurements when we're using centimeters and inches. So don't use your ruler to find that radius, use your first circle indicated in red. All right. Then we're going to place the compass on that final mark that we made and draw a circle. Okay, so this is the radius. Okay, so the radius in red is the same as our initial radius that we used to draw the whole composition, okay? So I'll let you draw that in.
So if you missed that step, so you're going from where this pentagram's point hits the horizontal line that you drew across the page, and then you measure this radius of your original circle, you take it to this point and mark the center, and then you can draw your subsequent circle and it will overlap. It should overlap perfectly with this point again because you've measured it from this point in order to get the center point. So again, when you draw the circle, it should cross over there to show that you've made it accurate. Do I need to? Oh yeah.
Okay. Well, I hope you've got that circle.
How did you get the last red line?
The last red line, maybe that's confusing. That's just, there's no line in there. Sorry, that's just a radius. Red line's just indicating the radius. That's all. Okay.
I think we're all at the same
good.
stage.
Okay, I just want to make sure you got that. Let's move on. All right then. Now we're going to take a radius. Is going to be the edge of our pentagon. Okay, so I'd like you just to open up your compass until the radius equals the edge of that large pentagon. So this in red is indicating our radius. All right, I'll let you just open it up.
Why did you choose those 3 points to draw the parallel line?
You'll see. Wait and see.
It'll all fit together.
All right. Here we go. So now we have our edge of our pentagon. The edge length of our pentagon. I'm just going to check that off a couple of other ones. Get a mean value.
So just checking it against every side, that is definitely.
Okay, and then I'm going to make a mark on my circle. So starting at that point where the that we circled a moment ago. So I'm just going to put a point on where we start.
What if the compass doesn't open up that large?
If the compass doesn't open up that large, then just how can we get around that?
Is there a way to halve this dimension at some point?
Well, you could step the compass around using a 10 in tenths.
Yeah.
Yeah, you could step it around in tenths.
It might introduce some inaccuracy, but
yeah,
you'd be able to do it.
Okay, so now I'm going to step my compass around and just make 5 marks around the circumference. And I'll demonstrate this again in a moment. I'm just going to check the accuracy of mine. Mine's a little bit too big, so I'm just doing it again, just reducing it a fraction. Doesn't take much for this stage to be out, so I've just done this a couple of times. Okay, that looks good. So I'm stepping my compass around until I'm happy that it lines up. So don't worry, you're not the only one. I'm like out a touch, a mil. Obviously, by the time you get around, if you're out 1/2 mil, it's going to be a 1.5 millimeters by the time you get around. So this will take a bit of teasing.
Being out by 1 mil or 2 is quite normal. You just work around.
Yeah, so just if I'm out by a little bit, then I'm just going to start again. If by the time I've got around, and you don't want to go all the way around the circle, so you want to start from both directions. So start from top and the bottom, and then if you're out by a bit, then just reduce it if you're over or below.
Could you repeat the stage, because a few people have gotten lost at this point? So
okay, I guess. So let's go back. In red, I've indicated the radius. So in red, I have the radius. Then I'm going. Once I have that radius, I'm placing the compass point on the point I've indicated in blue in a circle, and I'm making a dash on my circle, because what I'm trying to do is divide up the circle circumference into 5. So I'm positioning my compass there. Then I can move my compass around and place my compass point on the mark I've just made and make another mark. And then I can do the same again. And you can just go all around the circle and divide up your circle into 5.
Okay, so you're just stepping around 5 times.
You should have these 5 points around the circle now. But as we just said, you may encounter errors here. And in that case, just need to go back, adjust your compass accordingly. I.e., if you have too big a gap, then just reduce your compass or enlarge it depending on if you've gone over the point or under it. But start from that blue point and just go clockwise from that blue point and then anti-clockwise. So starting from the bottom, I mark 2 points, and then the top, mark 2 points, and then hopefully it should line up and place your compass on the right side. If not, then you need to adjust it. So I'm just going to give you a few moments to make sure you're happy with the 5-fold division.
1 millimeter difference.
It's still okay, but you know, just adjust it a little bit. But 1 mil is not too bad. Okay, and then once you've done that, we're going to draw in the pentagon. So the first line would just be a extension of that red line. So you can line your ruler up with the red line I've drawn there to draw the first edge of the pentagon.
Should you switch pencil?
Yeah, so again, the lines I'm drawing in a darker black color are going to be final lines. You can also see that this one lines up with those edges.
So 2B is fine at this point.
2B or colored pencil. Sorry for getting in the drawing. Okay, so you should have your pentagon.
So that's why you made the line start from this point, because you were going to carry on and they fit together.
Yeah, so it will make sense in a moment when we have the rest of this drawing, but basically the 2 pentagons, smaller pentagons, are going to fit along this edge. They're going to join for our dodecahedron. The last step, I just drew in the pentagon. Okay, so just drawing lines between those red points. Okay, so we're getting the pentagon. And then we're going to just follow the same process that we went through for the first drawing. So this should be quite easy for you now. we're going to draw in a pentagram on those points. Okay, so next stage, we just draw in our pentagram like that. Okay, so we're just going to repeat the process now, but we don't have to do all the marking out because we already have the measurement of the pentagon.
The difference between a gram and a gon. A gram is a star. So if you have a decagram, it's a 10-pointed star. But a gon is the shape.
The polygon.
Polygon.
Ooh. Compass movement. Oh. No, my drawing. All right, everyone's quiet. That's a good sign. Okay, and then you'll remember this next stage. We're going to look at this small pentagon in the center of the pentagram, and we're going to isolate the dots and draw a little pentagram inside it, extending them to the edge of the big pentagon. So use these points, intersections of the pentagram. Then we can draw in the pentagram inside that pentagon. Okay, let's do that. Draw it in first. So we're literally drawing a replica of the drawing we've made on the left. Notice that the ruler will line up with the drawing on the left too at certain stages. Okay, so this is what we're doing now. And once you've done that, you'll see those smaller pentagons around the outside. And then we can go through that same process of drawing in. Whoa, that's a bit loud. Okay, great. Then we need to draw in the pentagrams in the smaller shapes. Getting close to completing our dodecahedron now. So next stage, just to draw in that one edge. And then once you've done that, you can do the double, which will be right across. And if you've already got that, then you can start coloring in. I'd recommend coloring it in the same color that you'd used for the first pentagram, so that the whole dodecahedron matches up. But in essence, we're just following the same process we went through just a moment ago. So you should be well practiced by now.
Very quiet out there. So.
Yeah. How you guys doing? Great, super. Some positive news. All right, so now we're on to the coloring. It's going to start coloring in those smaller elements. Oh, where are you calling in from, Nora? So it's iftar somewhere for some people.
Saudi.
Must be Saudi. Is that Nora from Jeddah? Yeah, you're right if you're in Australia.
So the immediate next step after the first large pentagram is drawn.
Can you repeat?
So the overall pentagram in the...
Oh my God, I know what I'm going to be dreaming of tonight. So we're going to finish this coloring. I've got, let's say, 5-10 minutes to do the coloring, and then we're going to start drawing a fractal subdivision of the pentagrams. And then we're going to draw the logarithmic spiral over the top on tracing paper. So yeah, you'll need to find some tracing paper for the next stage. And then we'll go back to this drawing, cut it out, and stick it together into a dodecahedron like you can see up here.
Could you get rid of the?
I was just thinking that. Yeah.
Yeah.
You read my mind. How is it now, Nicole? Can you see okay now?
Will A4 tracing paper be okay?
A4 tracing paper is fine. Yeah, it will fit because we're actually only going to fit it over one of these pentagrams.
Would it be possible to refresh how we got the smaller pentagrams by lining up? And it's kind of hard to see now, isn't it?
How we got the smaller pentagons? Okay,
Yeah.
well, who is asking that?
Surab.
Okay, Sora, so just have a look. I'm going to do a quick annotation for you. So I use these points, I'm going to circle. So there's these intersections right here, which you should have if you've got the first big pentagram. And then you draw a line, you draw a pentagram between them. See this pentagram? No, I'm whispering. So the rest of the class isn't here. Okay, so you're going to just draw lines between them, draw a pentagram in the inside of the little pentagon. And then that, if you extend the lines of that pentagram, will give you the edges for the smaller ones. Okay, can you see that annotation?
Okay, right.
You got it? I'll leave that up for a second. Okay, I think what we need is a bit of coloring music.
Okay.
Maybe not reggae.
Have you got blue? Press that.
I've got some, this one's called The Lover of Beirut. Atmospheric one. Let me see something a bit more up here actually.
Do you have tracing ready?
I have some tracing, yeah. alifacatory. It's always good coloring in music. Okay, yes, something of alifacatory.
If you're done drawing, how long is it till the next step?
Until I finish coloring in. Maybe 5 minutes. 5 minutes. 5 minutes, yeah. So if you finish coloring, then this is a good stage to have a quick breather. If you want to do more coloring, then you can color the pentagons too.
So tracing paper for the next stage.
Tracing paper, soft pencil, compass for the next stage.
Is A4 okay, or was A3 better?
A4 was fine, yeah. It was great.
And you use greaseproof paper? Probably could.
Yeah, greaseproof paper's okay too. There.
Can you do this part without tracing paper?
No, I think you need tracing paper for this next bit. Yeah, 100%. Yeah, otherwise it's going to ruin your net. Okay, I'll just give you a couple more minutes to finish coloring in. Yeah, I'm just going to decorate this a bit more. Actually, I'm going to leave that one. So,
You're filling them now.
yeah.
You don't need to cover both pentagons.
You don't need to do what I'm doing, if just having some fun while I'm waiting for you to catch up.
But your tracing paper only needs to cover one.
Tracing paper
part.
just needs to cover one. Exactly.
It's such a good marker, just the way that it dries evenly without any.
It's very forgiving. It
Marks,
doesn't
yeah.
necessarily happen on cottage paper.
So only on the thicker paper it can absorb and sort of spread out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm putting the tracing paper over one pentagons.
You just need tracing paper and tape at this stage.
Yeah, tracing paper now. We're about to move on.
People are noticing improvements in their drawing with each class.
Oh, fantastic. That's a nice bit of good news. Always appreciate some positive news.
And actually, someone mentioned earlier, what advice would you give someone who's starting out doing Islamic geometry? And I guess it's just practice and see the improvements that you get.
It's like anything, yeah.
Yeah.
Just keep drawing and, don't feel bad about drawing the same pattern over and over again. There's no harm in that. Your accuracy will just improve and you'll start to see the signature shapes and the symmetry and the modular elements become more familiar. And the shapes will start to speak to you and you know you're in trouble. All right, so we're on tracing paper now. Now we're going to use a soft pencil. I'm going to use a pen, okay, but you use a soft pencil. So please use a 3B pencil and 3B or anything higher than that. And we're going to draw in on the tracing paper just the pentagram. Maybe I can draw these in colors. That would be really clever. Sorry for getting the drawing.
So A4 will fit over that?
A4 is fine. A4 will fit.
You're only just covering one of your pentagons.
Yeah.
And you've taped the tracing paper down just to hold it in place.
Yeah, so I'm going to hold it up. You can see I've got tracing paper over half of my drawing. And
soft pencil.
Soft pencil, and you're going to draw in the pentagram like this. Okay, I can get in the drawing a little bit. So these are the lines you're tracing, the lines I've drawn in red. Soft pencil on the tracing paper. And in fact, I'm going to zoom my camera in a little bit. This next stage. Now we're going to, no, I'm going to draw this in different colors. We're going to draw in another pentagram. So now we're going to start to see the fractal quality of our diagram. Right. Now we're going to draw in another one, and I'll indicate the points for this next pentagram. So at the moment, all we've done is trace lines. Now we're going to draw some fresh lines. I'm going to give you the intersections we're going to line up with. Someone's at the window. All right. Now we got this guy.
Trace the little star.
Yep, trace the little star. I'm going to find something more. All right, so now I'm indicating the next three intersections. We're going to use these points to draw in two lines, which are going to give us another smaller pentagram. Here we go. This is when it starts getting funky. All right. See another little tiny little guy in there. We can just keep going. We're going to put just another one, smaller one, but we could keep going.
Should have 3 stars.
Should have 3 stars, yeah. Okay. This next stage, so I'm going to draw in a line. You see it's in a turquoise. Could you draw this turquoise line as a dotted line? Okay, because it's just a construction line. So this next line, it's just a construction line, which I should have just done in pencil. So this turquoise line is just a dotted line because we want this intersection right here. Going too fast. Yeah, the dotted pencil just in a normal pencil, or it could be soft, whatever, but it's not part of the final design. We're just trying to find the intersection that I've circled in blue. Okay. So hopefully you've dotted that intersection in blue, and then we're going to line it up with these other 2 intersections I've circled in blue and draw 2 lines, which will give us a smaller circle. Great. Loving the silence. So you should all have 1, 2, 3, 4 pentagrams. Should we do another one? Everyone's quiet. I think they're surviving. If we do one more, we'll get like 3 curves, 3 more curves. So let's do another one.
Okay.
All right.
Do another one.
Okay. All right then. So. All right. Okay then. So these next 2 lines are going to be dotted lines. So the next lines I'm putting in are dotted lines, just constructional lines. Okay, so you can see those dotted lines because we want the point where they cross. Whoa, some wildness there, sorry. We want this point right here, that intersection. Yes, we do. We're going to draw our final one. I mean, we need to draw 5 stars, right? Surely.
Yeah. Keep 5 going.
All right, here you go. There's the last little, tiny little guy. We are very 5 if you think about it. 2 arms, 2 legs, and a head. Okay, those are the final 2 lines for our subdividing fractal pentagrams.
Tiny.
It's a little guy.
Yeah.
So it's worth it. You could just continue with this. Each time you just draw those 2 dotted lines in the previous pentagon, and it would give you the intersection for the next smaller pentagram. If you wanted to keep doing this smaller and smaller, you'd start to see the pattern. All right. Great, you guys have got it. I'm loving it. Thanks.
Could you just show how to get to that point again? The one where you just...
The last orange point
Yeah.
is achieved by these dotted lines. So if you look at the dotted lines that I've drawn across the pentagon here, I'm just indicating these dotted lines.
So it's just 2 of the lines that you draw if you're going to start drawing another pentagram inside that one. Okay.
Yeah, and then where you get an intersection, that's going to give you the point because you already have the other 4 points.
Okay.
So you get that little orange point that I've circled, and then you can draw in the 2 lines.
Ah, someone's asking you to go back to the turquoise line.
The turquoise
I think
line.
it's this one, right?
Yeah, so you can see the turquoise lines just drawn between these 2 points. And I'm indicating with my pencil and pen. You just draw the dotted line, and then that gives you this intersection that I've circled in blue. And then you can draw in the 2 remaining lines of that pentagram.
You're going to have it on a plain sheet now?
If you could pass that piece of paper, actually, I'm gonna just... Yeah, please. Thank you kindly. Okay, so what I would recommend doing now is just slipping a piece of plain paper between your tracing and your original drawing. If you can somehow leave it taped down, that would be helpful. Okay, and then I'm going to remove my annotation. And then just to stop any confusion, I'm going to erase those dotted lines.
The paper underneath is not to be drawn on, it's just to clear the space so that you're not being confused by the dodecahedron there underneath it. You're just working with the tracing paper now to draw a...
So I'm just erasing those dotted lines just because they're extra. Okay. What we are interested in, I'm going to shade this in. We are interested in this golden triangle. So if you like, you could very lightly color this in. If you'd like to very lightly color that triangle in, it will make it much easier for you to mark out the points we need. Okay, so just very lightly color that in. And I'm going to mark out the points for you. So, number 2, 3. Okay, we'll just do 3 for now. So if you can mark these out. 1, 2. 3. Okay, if you can mark those out on your drawing, please. So 1, 2, 3 in a kind of counter-clockwise fashion. One, 2, 3, 4. This is gonna get small. All right, let's try to do this. All right, that's the 4th one, right in the middle of the triangle. All right, that worked out. 4.
How would you mark these on the tracing paper?
I wouldn't put a circle around. Well, you could put a circle around them if you like, but just put a dot with a colored pencil or a pen or something like that. These points that we're marking out are going to be the points that we place our compass point. Okay. And place our compass point on these intersections that we're marking.
Are we likely to finish at 6:30?
Quite possible, yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Now we've got. Maybe we just go to 5. Okay. 5, that's the last one there. We're going to finish the spiral, Farnaz, then we'll have a break. All right. Hopefully you got those 5 marks. Here we go.
Would that fit? It might be too broad as well.
Oh yes.
Selection of brighter. That's good.
Maybe a different color. Okay, so we're gonna, if you can just get your compasses ready for this next stage. Okay, we're going to place our compass on number 1. And we're going to open it up to this point here. So I'm going to draw in blue the radius. So now we're drawing our spiral. About to draw the spiral. Holy moly.
It's wonky pencil.
Yes, of course. All right. So once you have that radius, we're then going to draw in our first curve. So placing the compass point on the first mark. And you'll notice that we have a sort of a triangle here. And if you can recognize that shape, you'll see it each time in a diminishing form. So now we're going to place our compass on the second mark, and we're going to reduce our radius until the pencil lines up with the previous curve of the spiral, so we can continue the spiral. And then we move from number 2 to number 3, reduce our radius until we line up to the previous curve, and draw in the next arc. And you should hopefully have the idea now. Okay, so once you've then done number 3, you're going to move to number 4 and just join on to the end, reducing your compass. It lines up with the end of the spiral. It's going to go to number 4. It's going to get quite small now. And then the final one, number 5, a tiny little one.
And Some people have lost track at 3.
Well, once you go to...
You just slow down.
Okay. If you're at 3, then you just move to 4, because it's the reason I've sped up a little bit is that it's just the same thing every time. So start with number 1, you draw the curve, then number 2 joins on, you put the point in number 2, and then you adjust the radius to the end of the spiral. And then you just do the same thing over and over again. So then after number 2, you place the compass point in number 3, adjust your compass until it lines up with the end of the spiral. So you reduce it until it lines up with the end of the spiral, and then join the next one up. And then the same for number 5, actually. Got number 5 to do. Number 5 is really small. Oh. So, no, that's number 5. Number 5 in the wrong place. All right.
It's almost too small for that
Yeah.
pencil.
Number 5 is in the wrong place. Sorry, guys. But it's almost too small for my pencil anyway.
So the places to put the compass point are marked in red, and you would have highlighted them as your intersections on your drawing, but maybe it'd be helpful to draw on the diagram the radiuses that extend from each red point.
I'm just going to put number 5 in the right place. I made a boo-boo. Number 5 is right there.
Okay, so it might be helpful to annotate where the lines end.
Okay.
The point at which we adjust our compass.
Okay, sure, I'll do that.
For each extension.
These are where the spirals transition.
You could take a little break now if you've finished, yeah?
Yeah, you can take a break now, but I'm actually going to show you. That's a bit annoying because these are in the same places. Okay, so this is where they transition. The pink points are where the spirals connect, connecting points.
Is there a way to draw a line? So that's your second radius. Your third. 4 is from 4 to 1.
Mm-hmm.
And 5 is to 2. Or no, that's confusing. Where is 5?
Oh no, I've done 6. That's what's going on.
Okay.
I've done it wrong. It's just going a little bit mad. That was actually 5.
It was in the right place. Yeah,
it was 5. I just
okay.
did a 6. Just did a 6.
Yeah.
We're going mad here, guys. So, that was 5.
Yeah, the new 5. Okay. The new 5 is actually the 6. Are you able to zoom in? But then I guess that would make the whole drawing annotations not fit anymore.
Yeah. Should I draw these in?
Yeah, the radius is helpful. The 4 just connects to 1.
63.
Okay.
Might be able to.
You could hold it up.
It's more like for the tracing.
Yeah.
But I might be able to trace. No, need to use this one. Okay, so just a couple more minutes to put the spiral in, then I'm going to show you how to trace it. Then we're going to head back for the dodecahedron. Okay, so I'm just going to swap my drawing for another drawing. Because what I want to do is show you how we can trace this. So hopefully you've got your spiral now, but we have to motor a little bit in order to finish in time. So what I'm going to do is just line this up so it's the same orientation, the spiral going the other way. Okay, so what I've done is just place my drawing with the pencil side down. So this is just an extra little bit of fun that we can have now. So I've got the pen. Oh, no, I moved it. All right. And I'm going to use my fingernails to burnish this design down. Now, we've done this often in previous sessions. If this is your first session, this can be done with a teaspoon or a rock. And hard and smooth.
So just some plain paper for this now.
Exactly, just a new sheet of plain paper that I'm just tracing. It's just an extra bit of fun. Just check something that it fills down. We're only going to need to do the pentagram once, the big pentagram. If it's all down. Mostly only. My tracing paper wasn't big enough for this one. So I can just draw in. All right, now I'm just going to rotate the tracing paper once I've burnished it down once and line it up again. Let's just rotate it. And then obviously I already have my big pentagram. So I'm just going to burnish down the spiral again. You might remember this from the web page, this diagram. So what we can do is just get those 5 spirals around the pentagram. Just do repeat again.
And it will still keep giving pigment. You wouldn't need to go over
Yeah,
5 times.
I think 5 times would be all right. You might need to push harder each time.
Some people aren't following how you're doing this. So if you've been working in pencil on your tracing paper, you could take your finished diagram and turn it over onto a plain sheet. And then by rubbing over it, either with your fingernail, if you can press hard enough, yes, on a fresh sheet of paper, just centering the diagram. Then once you've transferred it one time, you can then rotate your tracing, make sure that it's lining up. You have only 5 ways of rotating it, and just trace your spiral through again and again so that you get the pattern that you saw on the website, which shows the logarithmic spiral rotating.
5 times, yeah. So this is like a little extra bit of fun that you can have as you've got your drawing on tracing paper.
I think it's going too fast and there's some lag, so let's just take a minute. Perhaps people are getting lost on how you would line it up.
Yeah, okay, so I'll explain this again. You have your large pentagram. All you're doing once you rotate it is line up the pentagram again. So you've traced the pentagram down, and then you just rotate it, line up the pentagram with the previous rubbing, trace it down again, rotate it, line it up with the pentagram. So each time I'm lining it up with this big pentagram. So this pentagram isn't shifting, and I only need to trace it down once. So this pentagram, once it gets traced down initially, is going to stay on the paper, and I just keep rotating my drawing around and lining it up each time.
Okay, so you had your first drawing and then you just moved it round until you found that. So that wouldn't be the right point.
Just do it
that would be
slowly.
very slowly. Okay. So when you've turned it and it's fitting perfectly over the diagram underneath, then you can burnish through the spiral. So you've got one more to do?
I've got one last one to do.
The paper can just be another sheet of A3 if you've got that pad of A3 that you've been working from. The first time you rub the whole diagram because you want to get all the other parts of the diagram through. The pentagon needs to be pushed through. And once you've got that onto a sheet of paper, then you're just focusing on burnishing through your spiral. Some people are totally lost. Okay.
Okay, I mean, this bit is a bit of an extra, but actually it's quite simple, really. It's probably the simplest part. Basically, we're just taking our drawing, our tracing, and turning it upside down so the pencil faces the page, and you're going to use your fingernails or a hard, smooth object like a rock or a teaspoon to pounce your drawing onto a piece of paper. Once you've pounced it once, you have the whole diagram, the pentagram, and you're just going to rotate your tracing paper on the pentagram you've just traced down until it lines up again with another stellation, and trace just the spiral, then rotate it again until it lines up with another pentagram, and you can just do this 5 times. It's going to be 5 orientations, so you get 5 spirals. But each time you're just lining it up with the large pentagram that I've marked in pink.
Does everybody have the large pentagram to begin with? Because
Well,
I guess it's...
yeah, they will. Yeah, that's the first. We couldn't have drawn the spiral without it.
Mm-hmm.
So,
you're just tracing through exactly what you should have left on the tracing paper. So your tracing paper should have looked something like this, because you drew over the large pentagram first, and then you started working in with the smaller iterations of pentagrams, and then you were able to draw your spiral over the top. So just taking that sheet of tracing paper and flipping it over would then allow you to be able to push through.
yeah, so we haven't added any extra lines. We're just burnishing it through and rotating it and burnishing it and rotating it. That's all we're doing at this stage.
If it's not transferring over, you might have used a harder pencil. If you use a soft pencil, then it's quite easy to push the graphite through. You could still get it to transfer with a harder pencil, but maybe you just need to use...
you need to use excessive force.
Maybe the back of a pencil, or just something hard so that you can really just work over the lines rather than...
Okay, so I'm just redrawing some of my blue lines so that it's more apparent on the screen for you.
Spoon works, good.
And this diagram's really fun to explore with coloring once you get the symmetry. Doing some shading and painting on this diagram is a lot of fun.
Yes, you do need another sheet of paper. You're taking a fresh sheet of paper. It could just about fit on an A4, but it'd be tight, or A3 would be more comfortable. And then you're taking your tracing paper and you're turning it over so that the pencil side that you worked on is facing down and able to transfer onto the fresh sheet.
Yeah,
the transfer is very faint, so you're going over it now just to make it more visible.
Yeah, I'm just making the spiral. I'm just drawing. I'm making a bit of a mess, but I'm just drawing the spiral so you can see it clearly. That's all. Probably better to have done this with a compass. Anyhow, I'm just going to freehand it for now, just so you can see the final drawing.
Yeah, the small pentagrams would get transferred, but
yeah, which is quite nice. I quite like those in the little pentagrams too.
Yeah, but then you could just rub them out if you want.
You could rub them out, or you can
turn it into a different, separate design.
Yeah. All right. So we have this nice logarithmic spiral. So it's a logarithmic spiral rather than an Archimedean spiral. So an Archimedean spiral would be one that has an even channel width between it. So a spiral like this. So this would be an Archimedean spiral. But we're drawing a logarithmic spiral, so it's growing exponentially. Okay, so just another 5 more minutes on this, and then we better move on to the dodecahedron. I'm sure you can do some better versions of this. I'm just going to freehand it in for some fun. I quite like these fractal pentagrams in here as well. So, just going to freehand those in.
It could help to outline the spiral in soft pencil, but as long as you were working in pencil, it should transfer and then you can just go over it. Is it possible to go through this spiral construction a bit for people who've gotten lost?
Yeah, unfortunately for the spiral, people who have fallen behind, yeah, we really just got to move on.
We've got to move on, and
So
you
might
have the
just
upload tomorrow.
Yeah, the upload will be there tomorrow. So it'll be in the same Dropbox link that I sent you. So we'll add the video to that Dropbox link.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry guys, we only got half an hour.
We've got to move on to the next bit, yeah.
So we're just gonna give you a few more minutes on this part. Okay, you can draw a much more fancier version of what I've just done. Okay, but we are going to move back to our previous drawing now. The smallest stars were on your tracing, so they're here, right? So I've burnished everything down, including the small stars. Right.
I don't think we can take a break at this point, right? Because we need to
Yeah, we only got half an hour, guys. So yeah, we're gonna just carry on. I'm gonna start cutting this out. But what I need to show you first are where the flaps occur on the drawing. So you can draw this in a pencil rather. So actually, I'm gonna just color a bit more in on my drawing, so this is clear. So you guys need to get scissors ready.
Some Frit stick.
And also a knife as well.
A knife?
Yeah.
Oh, for scoring.
Yeah, so okay. The first thing we'll do is score. But I just want to make the net clear with this coloring pencil.
Okay.
The parts we're going to cut out.
So sort of.
Actually, what you could be scoring in the meantime. So I'm going to draw a line on here. So we need to score these lines. So with a craft knife. So when we say score, that means
you don't want to cut.
You don't want to cut through the paper. Yeah, you just want to put a cut maybe halfway through. So you need to score these lines with a craft knife.
So you're just making it easier to fold.
Yeah, if you don't, it's actually a real drag. So I'd really recommend it, even if you have to go and get a kitchen knife or something, or even if you just scratch it with another tool. There's an craft knife anywhere.
I think you've got one right next to you.
I've got this. I really like this scalpel. This is just not now. I'll try. Yeah. If you, otherwise, don't worry.
What is the rule for the tabs? Is there a rule?
Yeah, there is. We're gonna spiral the tabs and I'll draw them in the annotation.
You could just use the compass.
Yeah, it's true. You could use the tip of a compass for your scoring too, guys out there. Don't worry, I'll use this.
Yeah. You wouldn't use a ruler.
No. I would use a ruler, guys, but I'm not going to use one because it's going to get in the way of your drawing. I like the challenge.
Yeah, the bits in red.
You want to do a bit more?
Yeah, I'll continue shading. I guess you're just shading the pentagons fully so that it's clear where you're going to cut out.
You don't necessarily need to do this shading. I'm just doing it because I want it to be clear for you what we're cutting out.
Yeah, because you're going to be removing the areas in white. They're not going to be around anymore. So as long as we've differentiated the parts that we're going to keep from the parts that we're getting rid of.
Yeah, carry on. I'm just going to do one more.
Starting to lose ink.
Yeah. Okay, so we're going to freehand the tags onto our drawings. So I'm going to draw them on like on the annotation. So you want to add the tag in the following places. Okay, so that means just sketching in with a pencil, like a little bit of an extra overlap. That we're going to use to stick together our net. Okay, so we need these little tags right here. Thanks for the coloring there. So these are the points you need to add the tags. They don't have to be too tidy because they're going to be tucked underneath. If you wanted to, where I'm drawing these annotations in the triangles, you could just use the whole triangle as a tag.
So the tag is your tab. It's what's going to allow you to stick the pieces of the dodecahedron together. So you're going to, where Adam's just now marking in red, you're going to draw these little flaps, and you'll have to score those as well.
Exactly, yeah.
So that you can fold them and then stick them to the insides of the opposite pieces.
So I'll draw one kind of tag or flap with a bit more precision, just so you can see what we're talking about. But this really can be just free-handed.
Yeah, it shouldn't be visible.
It's not going to be visible.
You just want enough so that you can stick to the opposite side, but not too much that it gets in the way of the
And then we have to cut them out. And what I might do is just draw in red where you need to score. So you need to score the flaps as well. So all the red lines are going to be scored. Okay, all the red lines are scored.
So how wide should they be approximately?
Tabs, maybe at least 1 centimeter. Around 1 centimeter, otherwise it gets too tricky, too ugly.
Yeah, 1 centimeter. You wouldn't want it more than 1 centimeter. Yeah. Maybe even, I mean, your ones are averaging about 8 mil, but just
Okay.
slightly less than 1 centimeter.
So I'm marking in red the lines that you want to score. Basically the tab lines, the little flap. If you don't score the lines, it can be a bit of a tricky process to get it to bolt where you want it to. If it's all scored, it will save you time later, save you a headache. Okay, let's score these myself.
Does there need to be an extra tab at the top center?
I missed one. I'll check in a moment. Let's see if I can get this out. Straight out. Okay. Then I'm going to start cutting my piece out. All the tags I need.
Could it be? Someone's saying that it looks like there's one missing. But,
And cut this out, leave it in position for you.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah,
Is
that's
there
that.
four?
That's that.
There's okay.
These together.
If you don't have a knife, you can even just use the point of your compass. So if you can just take the point of your compass and use a ruler maybe to steady yourself, and then you can just score like that. God, I almost lost the screen.
So
Will it line up over again?
is that good?
Yeah. I mean, yeah. I think most people would have drawn in by now and just be scoring. Other people don't have to cut it like this. We're just cutting it so they can. Yeah, you know.
This is just fun for us. So you can, yeah, you just pick it up and cut it out. It's a bit better. If this is animated, it's gonna look good.
Hello.
So there's hardly anything left. Okay, getting there. Any of you guys have cut it out already? say in a moment, this is when you've got to call through a friend to help you out, stick it together. And you're going to need your Pritt stick too, glue stick. One. Okay, well, what's that? My tabs, folding. Let's check that's scored enough. Scoring. Find also at the very last fold, it's good if you've got a little cocktail stick.
Why?
Just to get in there to help the glue stick.
All right. Okay. Yeah.
So just making sure those folds are scored and we can start to put it together. Final score to go in here. Score is not good. All right. This thing works. Didn't score the join. Like I was saying, it's really important that the joins are all scored, so that central pentagon. Otherwise, you won't get a crisp edge.
You
Okay, so all I've done now is just make sure that all the scored lines.
there's a big
fold nicely.
lag, so
Yeah, there's going to be a bit of a lag on the three-dimensional element, but basically your net should just start putting together. So I'm moving quite fast as well, so things will be blurry even if you're here with me, because I'm aware of the time, and this is something that you can finish up yourself after we end the class. So I'm just gluing one half together first. This part, don't worry too much, it's very straightforward. I'll just glue both halves together to begin with. I mean, at this stage, you might even want to stop, because you might want to color in your dodecahedron with more effervescent colors. Or even paint it. So at this stage, you can just sit back and watch. In a moment, when I've got this finished, we will have just, it'd be nice to have a little bit of a sharing. That's what we've been doing each week, everyone turning on their screens and just having a little chat and even maybe show what you've done so far. It's always helpful for us because we're a bit in the blind here as far as how you're getting on. One nice thing you can do when it's complete is paint it with PVA. So you just paint the whole thing with PVA, and that will make it much stronger. Sorry, Petra, you might have to just look at the video again because it's a bit hard to go back to the annotation now. It's getting there.
How did you view the pattern that's on the desk on the other dodecahedron?
Oh, that's not me. That's Daniel's. So I think he might have actually just photocopied that. He's drawn one and then photocopied it. I don't know for sure, but it looks like it.
Yeah, it looks like a print.
It looks like maybe he's photocopied the net and then painted all of them individually and then stuck it together. I'm not giving enough time for this breadstick to glue. So we can just hold it together like this for now. I think I'm going to be fiddling around with this for a while longer, so I'm just going to hold it in place. And we can just have a little chat.
Okay.
This is what we're looking for. And ta-da. A beautiful dodecahedron. This is something you just have to mess around with in your own time after the class, but it would be really nice if we can maybe just have a little bit of a sharing before we go. So I'm going to lose the video now. And if you guys like fancy just turning on your videos so we can see you all.
Mute all.
Well, Allowed to unmute. Well, if you'd like to unmute yourself, if anything,
Yeah.
now's your chance. Hey guys, oh, it's awesome to see you all. All right, some of you almost there. A lot of sticky fingers, hey?
I'm holding it like this because it's not glued together yet.
Who's that?
Nigel over here waving.
Oh, hello, hello. Hi, Rajan.
I don't have any Pritt sticks, so I haven't even cut mine out because I don't want to glue it yet.
Yeah, right.
Mine's half stuck together, but it's not looking too shabby.
Oh, nice one, Gia.
Yeah, I only had the thin paper, but I'm very delighted.
Super, super.
Oh.
Nice.
Yeah. I've been sticking mine together with sellotape because I didn't have any glue either.
Oh, okay. That
It's kind of
sounds like Nikki. Is that Nikki? Who's that?
Hi Adam, this is Raz and Shanze.
Hey guys.
So close. Thank you. See you tomorrow.
Thank you.
Okay, yeah, see you tomorrow, guys.
Take care.
Thank you so much.
Have a good night.
Oh, that's lovely. You like the green.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
That was
Thanks,
awesome.
Adam. Thanks, Adam.
Super.
Bye-bye.
Super. Thanks, guys.
Thank you so much. Bye.
Hey, David.
Thank you. This was awesome.
Hey, Brent.
Super
Nice one,
awesome.
guys.
Thank you so much. Thanks, Adam. Thank you, Leila.
Thank you.
Thank you. Hey, Camille.
Thanks, Adam.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Hey, Susan.
Almost half done. Almost complete.
Oh, nice one, David. Awesome. Good job.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks.
I haven't cut out yet, but I'm working on
Hey,
it.
Oh, nice one, Bryn. Wow.
I'm gonna try to do something different. I don't know. I don't know if it's
That's
gonna work.
amazing, Bryn. Maybe you're taking it to the next level. I like it.
I didn't mean to. I saw a possibility. I thought, okay, let's try this and see what happens. I
Gonna
may
be
not be able to
beautiful.
hold it. That's the problem.
We'll see. We'll see.
How heavy is your paper?
Not that heavy. That's why. I don't think it's gonna work out. That's
That might
okay.
be tricky.
I'm running out of paper in my house, but I don't know how to go get more. So
I'm using scrap too.
Glue sheets together.
almost. Oh yeah, that's a good point. Glue some sheets together.
Thank you for the bonus spiral drawings. That was awesome.
Thank you. There, kind of.
Oh, nice.
Oh, you made it. Nice work.
Holding it with my hand because I didn't have the glue yet.
Nice. Wow.
Good. Thank you.
Super work, guys. Oh, nice. Nice, Josephina. You look like a statue there.
It's the youngest artist here.
How old is the youngest artist?
I'm gonna go. Bye.
Pervis, how old are you?
Oh, I'm 13.
That's awesome.
Thank you. You had a great time. Thank you.
It worked. Nick is also 13.
Oh, nice one, Nick.
Ah, great.
My nephew and my niece. So I have 9, I think. There's somewhere in there.
I think you need decent glue to do this.
Wow, nice work. Nice work, JD.
Thank you.
Super.
Thanks for everything.
Oh, it's a real pleasure. You looks like you really nailed it.
I'll join it.
Getting there, Adam.
Nice one, Susan.
I missed the memo about one color.
Yeah, hey Susan, nice to see you.
Who was that?
It's Gia, but my video's not
Yeah,
playing.
hi.
How are you?
I'm fine. How are you? That was a beautiful picture you posted the other day.
Okay, thank you.
Adam, please pin my video. Show them my beautiful product.
Oh wow, look at that. That's fantastic.
Wow.
I'm
Nice.
really proud of my product.
Oh wow.
I'm really proud of my product.
Oh wow. That's awesome.
And I was doing this with my right hand and this with my left hand. So really, this thing what you taught me inspired me to do this.
Oh, I see. Nice. I see this pattern right. The tempo pattern.
No. I will introduce you guys to the real artist. I was joking. This is the real artist.
Hello.
Hello.
So nice to talk to you both. Thank you so much. You've been so helpful in improving my art and taking it to new levels. It's quite meditative, and I love the process. Thank you.
Thanks, guys. Thank you. Thanks for coming. Yeah.
Thank you, Adam.
Thank you.
It's very calming. Thank you.
Oh,
Yeah.
thanks for.
Very nice. Thank you, Adam. It's a bit fiddly, but I'll get there.
Yeah, it takes a bit of time.
My daughter finished hers.
Oh wow.
Can you not? He didn't want to do it as a net.
Yeah, he left me behind.
Thank you very much. That was
Adam, a question. I'm missing one tab. Is there one side that does not have a tab, or did I miss it?
Yeah. I might have forgotten the tab.
I tried to point out your missing tab, but I was sort of ignored.
What was it? I'm so studying.
Hi, Adam. Can I get your attention for a second? Yeah.
We got some real fractal reverb.
Yeah.
Hold on. Hi, Adam.
Yes.
I just want to let you know the video you showed at the beginning of the Persian pattern?
Yeah.
And it said art rank. It was the Persian pattern. No, you were showing everybody's video pictures from previous week.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was actually my video that I did, and he posted it. They posted it onto their Instagram.
Oh, nice. Which one was that? Sorry.
But
Was
I've
that-
been. It was a video. It was like a 30-second video or something.
Of what?
The time lapse. Yeah.
Oh, the time lapse. It was one of the reposts.
The turquoise painting.
No. It's oh yeah, turquoise. Yeah, the golden turquoise.
Oh,
Yeah.
nice work. Thank you.
But just wanted to let you know.
Adam, by the way, my last name is pronounced Dobrian.
Oh, sorry about that.
No. I just noticed that it was hard for you, so I thought I'd help. Dobrian.
Dobrian, all right. Won't forget it now.
Wanna watch it?
Thank you so much, Adam and Leila. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
This is my creation.
Thank
you so much. See you guys.
Thank you. Adam, it's my first time here. I really appreciate what you're doing. Thank you.
Oh, thanks for joining us.
Three.
Did you crack the pattern?
Sorry? This is what I have so far. I'm just doing
Tiny.
It's small because I came late, so I just had to kind of like scramble. I don't know exactly what size it was.
Nice work, nice work. Fantastic.
Thanks so much, Adam.
Thank you, Adam and Layla. Thank you.
Done.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Thanks so much. Just about managed.
All right.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Hey, Marta.
See you next time.
See you next time. Yeah.
Next time. You pretty.
Hi,
Yeah,
thank
it looks
you.
good. I think I need to do it.
Thank you.
Quite cute in terms of colors.
Somewhat managed.
Awesome work, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you, Adam.
Thank you very much.
Very nicely. Cheers. Cheers from Mexico.
Oh, nice one, Christian. All right. Right on. Adios. Well, someone's just driven off.
Yeah, I will.
Thank you so much. I was your 10K follower. Timeline Pyro here.
Is that right? Are you you were like a painter, right?
That was me, yes, the wood burner.
What was your
So
name?
thank you so much for the credit. It's amazing.
Basha. Okay, okay.
Thank you.
Oh, it's a pleasure. Thanks for joining us. It's nice.
Thank you, Adam. It was amazing to go through the pattern and then the spiral and then go into 3 dimensions. It's quite my brain just is overwhelmed with the whole experience of going through all those dimensions.
Oh, nice one, John. Yeah.
I was to do something with this. I was just to put it all together to see this spiral.
It's a bit robotic, that one. Is that Josephina? Maybe you can type it. It's a bit. Yeah. Have a look. Oh, I'm going the wrong way.
Hi, Adam. Here is mine.
Oh, hey, Asma. How's it going?
It's going very well. Missing you guys.
Yeah. Are you in London?
I'm still in London.
Okay.
Thank you so much for doing it.
Oh, it's a pleasure. Nice that you can join in. Fabulous. Yeah.
Did you mention painting it with PVA?
Could you say that again?
Did you mention painting it with PVA?
Oh, yes, exactly. So you just paint the whole thing once you stuck it together with PVA glue and it just becomes solid. Yeah, and it gives it a little kind of varnish as well.
Brilliant. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Take care. See you soon.
Bye, Asma.
Bye. Bye.
Hey, Adam, I got a ways to go, but I'm going to say bye.
Okay, bye, AJ.
Thanks a lot.
Thanks for your email. Okay.
Thanks.
Take care, buddy.
Have a good week.
I have a question for Samiha. What's your background today?
Who's that?
Oh,
I think she's left.
Oh, she's gone.
She left. Oh, didn't get to find out.
Oh, yeah. I didn't realize it was a background. I thought she was just in a beautiful palace. Like, wow,
That's the
great.
Alhambra. That's the Mirador.
I know. I should know, right?
She's in LA.
She's in a beautiful palace in LA.
Oh, she's coming back.
There's someone that looks like Iran this time.
Samiha?
I
Oh, there we go. Yeah.
for a second.
I was curious to know what your background is today.
Oh, today I'm in a Mughal era palace. Last time I was in the Alhambra. Today I'm in a Mughal era palace.
Very nice.
I'm actually based in San Francisco, but this is my way of traveling virtually when we can't.
Yes. I've come to appreciate the pictures I've taken over the years even more now, Adam, after taking your classes.
Oh yeah, great. You get a bit of more of an understanding.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sometimes
I'm visiting back my pictures and having a look. Yeah, especially the Lutfullah mosque coming up. That was one of my favorites. That I mean, inside and outside, I was just totally mesmerized by that mosque in Isfahan. The Lutfullah that you'll be doing on Thursday. Yeah. But I just couldn't figure out what it was that drew me. So I'll find out on Thursday.
Yes.
Thank you, Adam and Laila. Thank you very much. Amazing. Would you be sharing painted versions of the spiral, the second piece that we did?
I don't know if I have a painted version. I think I've got a colored version. I'm sure someone will paint it, right? I'm sure there'll be.
There's one with shading already in the Dropbox.
Yeah, I did. I like shaded one with the coloring pencil, or a pastel. You can check that one out in the Dropbox link. Yeah.
Thank you, Adam.
Thank you. Who is that?
Thank you, Petra.
Oh, thanks, Petra.
Thank you very much.
Oh, it's a pleasure.
Amazing. Enjoy your lessons. Thank you.
Thanks, Petra. Take care.
Bye.
Oh, no. When you figure out what you did doesn't exactly work. Oh, no.
If you just registered, you might not have got an email yet. Maybe it's coming. I did send one like 20 minutes before the class, so to like some late signups.
Thank you, Adam and Layla. I'm going to sign off now.
Okay.
Hopefully I'll see you in another class,
Yeah.
maybe in a different location.
Bye,
Okay.
Bye, Jazz.
See you soon.
Hopefully. See ya. Jazz and I took a class over the summer from David Cranswick on pigments. Yeah.
Nice one. All right. Cheerio. Bye.
Okay. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Hello, Adam.
Yes.
Sorry, I didn't get an email for this class, so I just joined in.
Yeah, just maybe check your spam. Otherwise, I'll put the link in the I'll put the link in the chat now. Sorry, I'm a bit tongue-tied.
Yeah, because normally you send us something to prepare.
Mm-hmm. I'm going to find you the link. Okay, I put it in the chat.
Hi.
That's the link. The link is in the chat.
Oh, great. Thank you.
No problem.
Best wishes. All the best.
Thank you. Thanks,
Bye-bye.
guys. Bye.
Bye.
So here's mine, finally finished.
Oh,
great.
I'm very glad we did. Too much colorful maybe, but thank you so much. I really enjoyed it and I hope to see you tomorrow again.
Yeah,
Have
see you
a nice
tomorrow.
day.
Have a nice day.
Okay,
It's
bye.
beautiful. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks, bye.
I'm finished too, really tiny, but
Wow, that is
my first time too. Thanks so much.
wow.
Whoa. Very resourceful.
Yeah, I didn't know what was happening, so I just was like, okay, let me just try. But
Great
hope to
job.
see you again.
See you next
Bye,
time.
everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Hey, Bryn, why don't you, you could just cut a load of them out, right? Subdividing ones, do some of your paper cutting, layering.
Yeah,
them. Oh, I knew, yes, there you go.
Yeah.
They're cut out. So I started cutting at the beginning, and then like when you were first doing the like original Pentagon, and then when we started tracing, I was like, oh God, where's he going? I already cut this out. I can't do it. I can't go back now. I thought I was gonna have to like erase it and cut out like smaller stars, and I was like, oh thank God, this is just for like something else. Never mind.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of worked out. It's kind of worked
Got
out.
a little lump now.
Yeah, I kind of do. The problem is, it's not gonna work as well because the paper I put underneath it is thicker than the paper on the top, so it'll show through. I put like, if you can see like inside, like I put like paper hexagons inside.